All right, welcome to Learn with Umesh. I'm Umesh Gajanarkar. In the last session, we did quick walkthrough of LMStudio from a user's perspective. Today, we are going to try three things. One, look at LMStudio from a developer's perspective. Then use Python as a language of choice to connect to LMStudio from a scripting perspective, issue some commands to LMStudio and see how it works, and then work on a slightly more complex uh, project that would tell us what we can do using the generative AI capabilities of some of the LLMs. Does that sound good? If so, let's get started. Okay, so here is the LMStudio with no model loaded. We are in the user tab of this, which effectively shows you the chats out there and then where we can create a new chat and whatnot. Let's say we are a developer, and once you are a developer, you start seeing these multiple tabs out here. One is the chat. Second one is the developer tab, and it would start showing you some of the things like what are the endpoints that are supported by LMStudio. So please know that LMStudio and most of the LLMs that we would load on this would be able to respond to, to get post commands using the OpenAI like interface. All right. So most of them will work with OpenAI interface. So you should be good with that. So you can see the get command for models, get responses, post completions, post embeddings, and whatnot. Okay, we will go through these as we work through the examples. But for now, this is what you would see. So let's start loading a model that we want to work with. So let me again start with a Gemma 3.4b instruct model. So it's getting loaded. Okay. Remember I had downloaded it earlier. Okay. So this is the model, the LLM that we are going to be using. Okay. One of the easiest ways to connect to this model is using curl or curl. You can copy a curl command and issue it, or you can connect to it by using the chat that we have. So if we just say, who are you? Right, this is what we are getting and we are familiar with this. Let's go back to the developer model. The right side is pretty interesting here. So things that you have to remember are, one, what's the model's API identifier? Okay, and where is the server that we can reach out to connect to this model. So as you can see, this is 127.00.1 at port 1234, which is effectively localhost on port 1234. All right, and then you can look at a bunch of other things like what is the context token that is supported, how much of the work that you want to offload to the GPU, etc. For now, let's not worry about it. Let's keep everything to uh, the default values that we have. Okay, so this is what we are interested in for today's session. All right, now let's try and connect to the LLMstudios LLM here. This is the LLM. One of the ways to connect to that is using, of course, curl, but I would be using Python as my uh, language of choice, and I use Anaconda and Jupyter notebooks to run my Python code. If you don't know about Anaconda and Jupyter, Google it and you should be able to see multiple tutorials on that. All right. Now let's try and load the first code that we are going to write with this. So we are making use of HTTP requests. So you are importing it. The model that we are connecting to is of course Gemma 4-bit, Gemma 3.4b. So this is the one that we are connecting to, and then you are connecting to it using HTTP connected to this port and this particular API. All right. As I told you, you can find out the local server availability on LLM-Studio at this point. So this is where we are going to say what is the prompt that you're going to run and what are the number of tokens that you want. Number of tokens will basically decide the total amount of response you are going to get, and then we will see how this changes. So let's see if I run this, what do I get? Cool. So I'm getting some response and you can see it here, but it's kind of truncated because probably number of tokens I've set it to 50. So let me see if I can change it to, let's say 100 and rerun it. Okay, I'm getting a much better response, bigger one. So the first part of it, who am I or who are you, is answered correct fully. But for the benefits, I think we're getting truncated. Let me just increase this to 1,000 instead of being economical about the max tokens. I don't need to worry about that because I'm connecting to my local server. So let's see what it is doing now. Executing. Cool. So it's now fully responding. So I see the benefits of the local LLM system, and it also talks about the challenges the LLMs may have locally. So that's also an important thing to remember. And then finally, it's also sending me a joke as well. All right. So you can see the simple code out here. It's pretty simple. Just say what is your connection point, what is the model that you're using, and then you show the prompt that you want and get the response. Though the HTTP request response is a good way of connecting to the LM-Studio and the LLMs out there, we say that we have supported endpoints which are OpenAI like. The APIs available in OpenAI are much better. So, let's try and use that. So here is an example where we would try and do three things. One, use OpenAI interface to connect to the LLM, and then create a story. So basically what this program is going to do is it is going to issue a bunch of prompts to convert a skeleton of a story which is present in a text file, all right, into a more refined story. So as you can see, OpenAI call base URL with these parameters. This API key doesn't matter. You can give whatever you want, but if you are connecting to an actually hosted AI system like ChatGPT or Gemini, you need to have the key coming from them, and that's where you would have issues with using the daily limits or paying for it as you go. So what we are going to do is we are going to say that we are a news article writer, okay, and we are going to basically ask this program to read a skeleton from a file, skeleton of a story from a file. Let me see where I have this story. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so here is a story that I had created. Happens in Pune. Roadside tea vendor found something. Regular customer comes by. Cop comes in. Foreign agent is called to the tea stall and whatnot. So don't worry about the story for now. Okay. So it's just a skeleton story. So what we are telling is, read this story in a story string, and then take the story skeleton, identify the key characters, the story chronology, and arrange it in a chronological order. One. Then we rewrite the story from a foreigner's perspective as it happened to him, and then optimize it as a small news item, no longer than 500 words, and then finally produce a polished version for a local newspaper. Okay, straightforward. Good use of an LLM. Let's see how it works. Okay, so I have just issued the command. All right, let's wait for the LLM to start responding. Okay, remember the advantages. It's on your local box, so your story skeleton doesn't go to ChatGPT or Gemini for them to enrich their model for now. Okay, or even your privacy of the story is not violated. Plus, we don't have a limit on number of prompts to issue, number of tokens to get. As you can see, no token limitation has been set on this. So we'll see how this works. So the first thing is, right, it's expected to identify the key characters. Cool. So here is what we are seeing. So you can see the characters being identified, the T vendor. All right. The timeline is Monday. It has just invented it on its own. You can insert the date, and then the first customer of the day, they have invented a name out here called Vijay. I'm sorry, it's Ramesh is the T vendor. Vijay is the first customer of the day. There is a police constable called Deepak Sharma. Okay. And then there is a foreigner called James Miller out here who had lost his wallet. So you can see the characters of the story. The draft basically details out whatever it did. Now, here is the first command that we gave, right? Create a news story. So it says lost wallet, found kindness, Pune miracle. I don't know why Pune miracle. It could be a pure miracle. Who knows, right? So we have some interesting story that's getting created here. That's the first draft of it. And then okay, there is another concise news item aiming approximately 500 words. So it has created that story. And then finally, I believe we are still executing it to create a final polished version. So the star keeps on telling you that it's not yet complete. And on the LLM side also you can see that bunch of things are already happening. Okay, so looks like it has finished. Finished the version. And this is the final version of it. Lost wallet found kindness, foreign tourist misfortune turns into a community triumph in Pune and whatnot. Fair enough. So you can see that now we have got all this responses coming from a simple set of prompts that we issued, and each of the prompt is building on top of the earlier prompts. Okay, and finally you can see all this code, use it, share it whichever way you want on my Git repository called Learn with Umesh, L3nwithUmesh, and under the folder LLM-Python. I will add the link to this repository in the description of the YouTube video and you can take it from there. Happy learning, and let's hope by next Sunday I have another session that would be much more useful as well. All right, so hope you're enjoying as I am enjoying learning all these things. And if you like it, subscribe it and like it on YouTube channel. Thank you. Have a good rest of the day.